It's not every day that Apple, yes Apple, leaks their very own products. And that's what we have here today. Apple has leaked information about two different products. One about the iPhone 8 and the other about the HomePod. Let's get into the information about the HomePod. First of all, Apple messed up by releasing their HomePod firmware. By releasing that HomePod firmware, hackers got into the code and looked at specific coding to give away all this information. Let's get into the HomePod since that's the less interesting part of this. So on the top of the HomePod, we can see in that unveil video that the top of the HomePod is going to light up in LEDs. It's going to have some type of information displayed there, maybe Siri's logo on top of there, or maybe the weather. We don't know what's going to be on top of there, but we now know the screen size. The screen's going to be 272 by 340. That display fits on top of that 7-inch tall HomePod. The HomePod's going to be really small. It's only going to be this small, but man, those speakers are going to be loud. And we also now know that the HomePod is going to come with 1 GB of RAM. The HomePod is not a regular old smart speaker. It's not Alexa, it's not Google Home. Those things lack in speed and performance. That's where the HomePod comes in. The HomePod is going to have an A8 chip. The A8 chip is the iPhone chip found in the iPhone 6, and that's going to make everything the HomePod does quick and speedy. Also has a gigabyte of RAM, so all that memory for Siri, and it has those very loud speakers. The HomePod is separating itself from Amazon's Alexa and Google's Google Home. That's all the news of the HomePod, which is coming out this December. And now that Apple released that HomePod firmware, we know a little bit more about the HomePod. Now let's get into the juicy news about the iPhone 8. Apple in this HomePod firmware code have released a bunch of facts that are pointing all to the iPhone 8. First of all, let's get into the big news. Apple has confirmed the design. Do you remember a couple of videos ago, I made a video about the final design of the iPhone 8, and I said it was all but confirmed. I said it was 99.9%. All we had to wait is Apple to confirm it. Well, Apple has finally confirmed it. Someone found in the code a picture of the next iPhone 8, and it matches what we've been saying for 3 months, 4 months. We've been talking about this design for months now, and Apple has finally confirmed it. That wasn't the only thing that was found in the code. There's some other information in there too. First of all, do you remember how the top of the iPhone 8 is going to point out like an antenna? Well, in the code it supports what I've been saying, in that it's going to have the battery life on the right side, and it's going to show the cell bands on the top left. The code supports that. Second, in the code, there was no mention of Touch ID at all. So you know what that means? Touch ID in the iPhone 8 is dead. Yes, it's dead. But there's some good news. This leads to the third thing. Do you remember a video where I talked about Touch ID dead? It's not really a problem. Well, I talked about in that video how facial recognition is gonna replace Touch ID, and Apple has confirmed that. The facial recognition system is gonna be called Face ID, like Touch ID, but Face ID. And in the code shows that Face ID is gonna work in the dark. So this could legitimately replace Touch ID entirely and replace it with Face ID. Face ID kind of has a nice ring to it. Face ID, Touch ID, not that much of a change. Number 4 shows that the iPhone 8 is going to have some type of tap to wake feature. With the iPhone 8 having an OLED display, it doesn't really waste any battery life when the screen is fully black or 95% black. So that OLED display allows for a tap to wake option. The code also says that the code name for the iPhone 8 is D22. That doesn't mean anything, but I just wanted to share that. The code name is D22. The last thing that the code shows is that wireless charging and Face ID aren't going to come with the first software of the iPhone 8. So those two features aren't going to come with the iPhone 8, but they're going to come a month, maybe 3 weeks after, just like portrait mode. I just can't believe Apple has leaked the iPhone 8. We've been wondering about it for months, and Apple has confirmed so many things in this HomePod firmware break-in. I'd love your thoughts on the iPhone 8 leaks in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next one.